Hi everyone, we hope that you have enjoyed the opening panel as much as we did. A discussion about digital youth empowerment touched on a lot of different veins, from social inequalities to the meaning of digital, what digital really means, as well as the approaches in which our education system can take in order to empower youths. I'm personally very, very grateful to have heard all of this I think discourse happening, and I think it's important that it did. So I want to thank our panelists, Ganesh, Sharil, Dr. Sumitra, Jeff, and Kira, for such a great, insightful, and wide discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are entering the first thematic track of the day, the people track, which is powered by EY. Today, we are seeing a double disruption phenomenon, digital and COVID-19, and their impact not just on businesses, but also on the workforce. And to open the session, our keynote speaker will shed some light on this issue of, is your workforce your greatest asset in a digital world? Ladies and gentlemen, here is Lau Chow Huat, a partner at EY.
Hi, very good morning, everyone. Firstly, a massive thank you to the STAR for the opportunity to speak in this wonderful Digital X Data event this morning. And to those tuning in, thank you for your time and your participation. Well, for the past 10 months or so, a lot has been talked about on the people agenda given the COVID-19 pandemic situation. Lives, livelihoods, working from home, gig economy, well-being, etc. has been discussed extensively. Now, the narrative on the people agenda is really shifting up another gear. My name is Choy Huat, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'll share with you our views on this developing narrative about your greatest asset, your workforce. Double whammy or opportunity. So let's start with where we are today. And it's quite clear that today we're all facing different challenges of dealing with the effects of COVID-19 pandemic in the last 10 months, and also the effects of digitalization over the past years. Professionally and personally, I believe all of us have our own stories to tell, right? From initially, starting from working from home, perhaps, to perhaps losing a loved one. Many sectors are also impacted negatively, and many people have lost their jobs. So the question is, how do we turn both of these into opportunities for us to thrive? Well, the solution clearly puts the human at the center in everything we do. Let me explain. There are three key things that we believe that can really move the needle and really matters when you focus on the human side of the equation. One, it starts with the head. Right? By having a right mindset, being adaptable, resilient, strong, and focused. Two is about the hands. There's been a lot of discussions around upskilling and reskilling, and that's now really taking center stage. And I'll get into that a bit more detail later. And third is really around the heart, right? Letting purpose lead the way. So for the rest of this presentation, I'll focus on each of these elements. But before I jump into each of the elements in more detail, let me share with you the reality on how companies have pivoted, right, over the past few months. As you can see, companies have already pivoted at speed and at scale. Many have started to rebalance their workforce. Many have rapidly digitalized the way that they work. And skills development is on fire. In Malaysia, if you look around us, there are many examples of digitalization happening around us, right? Far more faster than ever before. And globally, many companies have even started to use 5G to shift the way that they engage their consumers and take digitalization to the next level. So, this leads us to the next question. How fast and effective can we adopt new ways of working? The simple answer is that it's here already today, and it's evolving faster than you think. We see many companies here in Malaysia have experimented with agile, right? Whether it's a concept or it's a different ways of working, doing away from formal organizational structures to using design thinking methods to run workshops, setting up project structures in a different way, using Scrum Masters and tribes, and even taking a hard look at agile methods to improve operational efficiency. Interestingly, here you see an example of a bank. And you imagine banks are quite traditional in the way that they work. They put a lot of emphasis on risk, governance, and control. But one bank has pivoted very quickly into really moving from a hierarchical ways of working into one that really focuses around the customers, about problem solving, and about breaking silos at speed. Now, in Malaysia, I know many companies have started to experiment with agile in different forms and shapes. I suppose the question is this really effective? The verdict, I think, is still out there, right, on whether it truly improves productivity and culture beyond the hard numbers. But importantly, I think there is no turning back. I think this is the time where things is moving forward. And the real question is, if there's no turning back, can this really be sustainable? Let me share more. In our view, what's important in Agile is not about the methodology. It's about the mindset, shifting from a fixed mindset where people look at very fixed ways of working into a growth mindset where it takes courage, both at organizational level and individual level, to be successful. Be curious, go learn something new, and be comfortable in working environments that you don't know, and thrive in unknowns. I think those are the essence of a growth mindset. So as you know, breaking mindsets and culture for us here in Malaysia it's not easy, right? So it takes a lot of courage and practice and discipline to learn new ways of working with an open mind. So Agile is not just a ways of working, but more importantly, it's a mindset that we have to adopt. Now, pushing forward with the right mindsets, let's talk about equipping Malaysians with the right skills. Now, this is not new to some of you. In fact, there are multiple platforms, right, ranging from government incentives, as you can see in this slide, through the recent national budget, to many platforms like 42KL, Forward School, etc. Now, the good news is that this is a good thing, right? We are making progress. And if you look at our neighbors down south in Singapore, they have made a lot of progress too, through Skills Future Singapore and so on and so forth. And in our experience in Malaysia, we've also observed that there are many GLCs who have recently set up academies to also push the reskilling agenda forward. So the question is, how do you get this right? One important element is to move forward towards hyper-personalized learning, right? From the traditional ways of learning where one size fits all to something where it is more personalized to the individual. Ask me, tell me, show me, right? It really focuses on the learning experience that really matters. And to bring this to life, some of our clients actually use learning AI technologies to develop success profile, matching competencies and proficiency gaps with courses, and generating learning adoption analytics and tracking skills completion rates, right? So just through the AI, and the whole process is automated. Therefore, companies which adopted this approach have successfully targeted very tangible learning outcomes, particularly in times where people are working from home and they have to learn at the same time, right? So therefore, the notion of micro skills is now becoming far more important, which I'll cover in a minute. So what are some of the skills that we're talking about here? So let's start with the soft skills. So here we're not talking about the traditional soft skills like communication, team building, but it is a deeper notion of leading in a digital world through enhanced human connections. So you see things like navigation, connection, the ability to relate and think clearly, right, as domain skill sets that people need to have today and into the future. And let me just pick an example. If you look at leading with purpose, right, this is quite unconventional, as a skill set. But if you get it right, it can be very powerful because the ability to connect individual purpose with organizational purpose is very powerful, but it requires a fair bit of reflection, a fair bit of presence, and it's really about thinking forward, right? So it is a very different type of soft skills versus the traditional ones that we are used to. Next, if you think about what are some of the hard technical or functional skills that are relevant in the digital world, you can see this is a jigsaw puzzle where there are multitude of micro skills to pick up. And this is really not an exhaustive list. However, ensuring flexibility of these micro skills are attained and applied at the right time when work needs to be done is very critical. Now, many companies take a blended approach to apply these micro skills in a particularly functional area to accelerate development. Let me give you an example. In one of our clients, the finance function took the challenge to enable their finance team to learn design thinking and RPA as part of reskilling them to solve a finance process issue, right? Now, traditionally, you would think that this would probably be done by the IT team or the consulting team, but it's not, right? So there goes the challenge around designing and implementing solutions by the finance function for the finance function. And to me, this is a shift, right, from a very traditional way of process and business improvements through micro-skilling. Now, what have we done at EY, right? We have more than 260,000 employees globally. How do you reskill our workforce? So at EY, there are 3 tracks that we look at in terms of reskilling. One is around technology areas, and you can see data analytics, AI, cybersecurity, and so forth. Secondly, is around leadership, and we really focus around purpose and the team that you work with. And thirdly, is just around business, right? So many of our employees have completed these badges, right? Myself included. I've done 4 badges, and I'm doing my 5th one. But the ability to really do the badging, as some of you guys know, can be quite a challenge, because more often than not, it is a lot of commitment and time that's required, and there's a lot more ownership that you will need to really do it well. Now, what's interesting is that once a micro skill is attained, an EY badge is issued to the individual who will own it for his or her life. Now, next, linking reskilling, it's around career pathways. Now, there are many roles and jobs have emerged as a result, as you can see on this slide. So gone are the administrative, repeatable tasks that could be taken by digital technologies. What's emerging are the likes of data analysts, data scientists, cloud engineers, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the new jobs. They are really emerging. And if you think about the different layers of workforce that you have, right? Whether it's at entry level or mid-career or senior management, I think these are some of the key roles and jobs that companies do look for. So as these trends continue, the real question is, how do you make sure that work is meaningful, right? Yet appealing to different generations? So it comes back to where we started this presentation. It's really focusing about human at center, focusing on making sure that the work is meaningful, is impactful, and is inspirational. So we believe that the future of work is really anchored by purpose-driven people. So I'll end this presentation by sharing a short video to get into a sneak preview into the future on how 133 million roles can be impacted by purpose-driven work. Thank you so much for your attention.
COVID-19 has changed the world of work as we know it. More than 40% of us plan to change the way we travel, shop, entertain, and spend time with our families. A real global shift in the new normal. With a rapid evolution of machines and technology, we will reimagine how work gets done to create 133 million new roles at a time when employees expect more purpose-driven work. A common theme is emerging among those who appear to be thriving where others are simply surviving. Their response is anchored in their purpose, their organizational values, and how their leaders live these values, even in times of crisis, creating a culture that puts humans at the center. So how can you upskill and unleash the potential of your employees with a restrictive and outdated model? By moving away from fixed roles and skills to an adaptive model that continuously evolves skill sets, mindsets, teams, and organizations, transforming human resources into strategic champions. By bringing your culture to life through your people and purpose in an environment that supports their best work. Inspiring innovation, unlocking greater value, and unleashing human power. Bringing the future of work into the now, preparing your workforce for what's next and beyond. Learn how you can empower your people transformation at ey.com/PAS.